Hello everybody, welcome back to the Culture Lab podcast. I'm your host Jadon, also known as Duragdude, and this is the Culture Lab podcast Christmas extravaganza, which I'm calling it today, because this is, if you're watching this is either come out on Christmas Day or Boxing Day, but either way it's that festive season. So this whole year has been really huge for me, and it's been the most consistent, disciplined, and transformative year. It didn't just give me achievements like these, it gave me something bigger, which I'll get onto later. So let's break it down. So without further ado, roll the intro. Now, there are many moments of this year that I can look back and reflect. So we're going to talk about all the different races and crazy things I did. So starting off in January this year, I had no set goals or races in the calendar at that point. So then I decided, you know what? I cycled on Christmas Day and did 25k, and then I decided, oh, I'm going to cycle every single day in January, because I looked back at some people that were doing run streaks and I was like, I haven't really seen anyone do a cycle streak before for a month. So every day in January, I showed up day after day. I didn't have a set distance what I'm going to do. It was a bit random each day, doing different side quests. Cycled in Richmond Park. I met some amazing people through doing that challenge. And then through that challenge, like I said in my Power of Community video, 616 reached out to me and he gave me a couple cycling goods, and appreciate the helmet, the glasses and everything as well. And within that challenge, yeah, my old bike got stolen, unfortunately, but through the power of the community, I ended up getting another road racing bike, which I also used for London to Brighton, which I'll talk about later. And this whole cycling everyday challenge, for me, it just gave me sort of like focus and discipline, as I knew that no matter how tired I am, I have to get this ride in, because that's what you guys want to see. You want to see me day after day showing up consistently, posting the videos until day 31 where I cycle 31k. And that was pretty much cycling every day. So let's move on to the next thing, Hackney Half. The Hackney Half, this was the first race of the year. Actually, this Hackney Half, but then also Crystal Palace Triathlon. So the Hackney Half, and this is the Crystal Palace Triathlon medal if you haven't seen it already. And essentially, in Crystal Palace Park, by the Crystal Palace Triathlon Club, they hosted a triathlon which was a week out from Hackney Half, which probably wasn't the wisest thing to do in hindsight, but we'll get into the details later. So with that triathlon, I'll put a picture of my race kit and photos as I'm talking about this. That race, it was actually really nice, to be fair. It was, instead of it being in like a river like majority of the triathlons I've done, this one was in the only downside I'd say, this one was in a swimming pool, but the swimming pool water was warm. It was on a very hot day, and it was just, it's just messing up my whole flow, because the water is warm. The swimming pool was it was a small swimming pool. It wasn't like deep. So at those points where you could walk through that water if you wanted to, but you still had to swim, if you get what I mean. And then coming out of that swim into the bike, it was around 4 laps of Crystal Palace Park. And if you know Crystal Palace Park, then you know how hilly Crystal Palace Park is. As soon as I come out of the transition zone, you go up the hill, rounds, 1, 2, 3. Going up was hard, but going down was the easiest thing. And then the run was alright. It was literally just 1 lap. So when I was on the flat bits, I really used my power to push through. The hills, I took it easy. And then as I got to the running track, that's where I pushed the pace. And then I finished, I believe it was 7th, but I'll put a picture here. Yeah, it was 7th. And then moving on to Hackney Half. Now this race, if you haven't seen the race vlog already, was a movie. Because not only was I was raising money for the Outrunners charity, but also I was able to just take in the vibes, film a whole race day vlog, and then I even got it engraved. I don't even know if you can see it. Can you see it? Actually, no, you can't see it. I got 1:35:36. Now that, at the time, was the fastest I ever did a half marathon, and I was really, really proud of the fact that you ran out. Not only did you run a half marathon, you ran it like taking in the vibes, high fiving children, taking sweets and this and that on the side. But you also got a massive PB. And then whilst training for this, I set a half marathon PB of 1:42. Then I broke that a couple of weeks later for Hackney, which is crazy. London to Brighton was such an amazing event. I heard about it through a couple people within the cycling space, and cycling from London to Brighton, which is around 85, 90 kilometers, is crazy. And there's one, I'll get onto this later. There's one hill, Ditching Beacon. Hey, when I tell you that hill, I'm gonna put a picture of my elevation graph just so you can see how mad it was. Like majority of the race was like rolling hills, and then you'll suddenly see a sudden surge in the elevation as I'm going, which is crazy. That race, it was really fun cycling, meeting new people, going to different parts of the UK as you're going outside of London, seeing how community really comes out. And I'd love to do that race again and like do like a whole like culture like podcast episode whilst I'm cycling through the race. Which if you want to see, let me know. If you want more cycling races this next year, please let me know where I need to be at for these cycling races. Now, technically this is a group of medals that we're gonna get into, because all these next medals essentially accumulate to my first ever marathon. So we'll start off with the most recent one and work our way down. So this is the Victoria Park Chase the Sun. So this was my first ever 10-mile race that I did whilst training for my first ever marathon, which is, as of now, Battersea Park in 3 hours 5 minutes. And I'll get to tell you what to expect for next year in terms of my marathon distances. But if you've been following the page, if you know, you know. So anyway, this race, I don't know what I was thinking. The race, but like in terms of pacing wise, it went really well. But fueling wise, I didn't bring no sweets, no gels, no nothing, and I didn't really eat beforehand. So I finished the race. Like I was able to do the race, but then when I tell you, when you look back at the video where I'm going like this at the finish line, I just look so dead. Like I'm just like, yeah, I got the medal, and then after that, I was literally, you know, when you feel like you want to stand, you're standing up, but you want to fall asleep. That's how I felt. It was dark. It was just dark, man. Didn't really like the feeling of fueling, but then I learnt my lesson anyway of not of doing. If you're going to do a race, specifically a 10-miler or a half marathon, bring some form of fuel beforehand or at least during the race. You're not gonna randomly just run it with this. Let's talk about the big mile. Now, this one was a spontaneous one that after I was watching people run the big mile, I already had a space for this, and I was like, you know what? My mile PB at the time was like, I think 5 minutes 20 something, 5 minutes 30, 6 minute mile. That's what it was. And then when I had the opportunity to do this, I was like, either I can take it for fun, but I was like, you know what? It's flat, it's fast, you're gonna gas it out. So I wore my best carbon shoes, I wore my Nike Vaporfly Next Percent Freeze, wore my Duragdude Fitness t-shirt as always. And then as I set off at a really fast pace. And then I ended it with a time of 5 minutes 18, which was a new mile personal best, but then also came third, which was crazy. But who knows? Maybe I might be there next year and come back for that win. And now we've come on to the main bulk of what all this training, all this hard work has come down to. Project 26.2 Battersea. Bam! This race, if you haven't seen the race vlog already, if you're watching this on YouTube, head to my YouTube page and watch up the whole training vlogging series, but also the race day videos to get more details on this. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent here, sorry. The Battersea Park medal. This race was hard work, grit, determination, all together in a sandwich. And this race took everything I got, because there was times in this race I wanted to give up, times where I wanted to stop, times when I was saying to I think I ended up crying whilst I was running, which is crazy. That's never happened before. But I really wanted to push through. And when it got to that part, I just got to the point where I was like, you know what? The time goal that I had in mind is going out the window. You just want to finish the race. And then that's when I realized, I looked at my watch. I would have been on track for 2:57, but the pace I was holding, wasn't going to happen. So I just carried on at the pace, and then I came out, pushed through for the last 1K, and came in with a good 3 hours, 5 minutes, 31 seconds, which is crazy to believe, the fact that I got that medal. Oh, I also forgot. The other race where I personally bested in was the Fulham K, where I did it in 38 minutes, 48 seconds, which was crazy. That race, it was a lot of winding, but it was flat and it was fast, and I was gassing it the whole time. No breaks. It was literally just ER or PR, and that time I PR'd, which was crazy to believe. But we're not done with the 10K, the 5K, the half marathon PB. And lastly, the last race of the year. This one, I think this is my most recent one. You've probably seen the whole video. So for context, for those who haven't seen it, Aubrey Running reached out to me on his story about my page, promoting it to his followers. And then through that, he gave me an opportunity to race this race. And he was being paid by Nick Bester for him. So I got to meet Nick Bester, talk about my journey a little bit more, gain some knowledge from him. And then also got to meet a couple other people in the running space as I was there chilling. When you watch the video, you can just see how much fun and vibes I had through doing a race where I didn't set myself a time goal or set time target, but I set myself a time goal or a time target. But anyway, those essentially are all these are just one of the ways I've just looked back on my year and been like, wow, I've done some crazy things. But not only through races have I done some crazy things. This year, I've collabed with so many different creators. I've met so many new people that how I've inspired them or they have also inspired me. I've learned so many new key tips, new knowledge, new advice, which I'm taking on to 2026. Now, let's get on to the big news. You probably all know this already. So 2026, like I said, it's going to be a movie. It's going to be a madness. It's going to be crazy. So in 2026, I'm aiming for a sub-3 marathon. But specifically, right now, I'm training for a 250 marathon, which if you don't know, that's a good for age. For London, baby, let's go. Because as you know, Duragdude Fitness does not play when it comes to running. I'm youngest in charge, so I got to show London and let them know my name, man. That race is going to put my name on the map when I tell you guys. Then we're also going to aim for 17:30 5K, which is fast. Then we're also going to aim for a 35 minute, 35, 34 minute 10K, which is quick. And then in terms of half marathon, I feel like because I've got the big half next year, I want to get to maybe 120 and then drop to 115 and then just keep dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. In the marathon, I would have got 250. I know I would have got 250 in April, and then I'm waiting on Valencia in a couple days' time to find out whether I get in Valencia. And if I get Valencia, then we're going for 245. And if I don't get the 250 in London, then we'll go for 250 to 245. And yeah, that's essentially all my running goals. But there's one thing in particular I missed out. This T100 race I did last year, I'm definitely thinking about doing it next year. So if there's any triathletes out there that have been doing triathlons, my current sprint triathlon time, super sprint triathlon time is 51 minutes. And I'm thinking of doing T100 again to get around sub 51. But then I also have the dilemma of wanting to do a 50... Of wanting to do a sprint triathlon. So if you're a triathlete, let me know what's best. Drop me a DM, drop me a comment. But also with this, if I do that triathlon, how am I coaching this? Am I going through a training plan? Am I going through ChatGPT? Let me know, because I'm stuck. And yeah, man, that's essentially everything I've done this year. My goals, my targets, my ambitions, which is crazy to believe. I appreciate all of you that have joined along the journey. As of 2025, we're on 25 followers. We're on 97 followers on YouTube, but let's get that to at least 150 by January. So follow up the page if you're not already. On TikTok, we are on 1,080, which is crazy. And Instagram, we are on 830, which is crazy to believe. And that is through you guys supporting my journey, supporting the love, supporting the grind. Keep watching the content, keep liking, subscribing, all of that. And yeah, hopefully I will see you guys in the new year. I wish you guys a Merry Christmas, a restful New Year. And remember, guys, run strong, stay Duragdude.